Hello everyone, welcome to Realization Hub. My name is Michelle and I'm an intuitive counselor, energy healer, channeler, and astrologer who loves to bridge the gap between the unseen world of spirit, consciousness, energy, and intuition so that it can apply to your everyday human experience. Today's video is an energy update for the new moon in Taurus happening on April 27th at 12:31 p.m. Pacific time. And I'm going to be going over the astrology, some channel messages that came through, as well as pick some cards so that we can bring in as much intuitive information that we may need for this time. So if you enjoy these videos, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out a lot. Let's go ahead and get started. Right off the bat, this new moon packs a punch. The days leading up to me feeling into this new moon and really tuning into the energy of the astrology before this new moon and during this new moon was giving me major headaches. I mean, talk about frustration, tension, and irritability all building from deep within to release and allow yourself to open more. So the new moon, like I said, April 27th, 12:31 Pacific time. This is going to be happening at the 7th degree of Taurus. And that means if you have fixed placements in Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, or Aquarius between 2 or 12 degrees, this new moon is going to impact you the most. Now, let's talk about some good stuff about this new moon, because the moon, first of all, is exalted in Taurus, which means that it can fully express itself in Taurus in a very sensual way, in a very grounded way, in a very feminine way, in a very embodied way. You know, think about Taurus and its ability to really delight in all the senses, you know, the smells, the taste, the beauty, you know, the touching of the skin, the fabrics, the weather, you know, just like enjoying, you know, all the pleasures and the sensuality of life, you know, and, you know, being in harmony with nature, being in that fertile, creative energy that's very hands-on and earthy, aligning with your values. It's a beautiful energy. And with the moon there, that's our subconscious, that's our subjective reality, that's our intuition, that's our bodies, that's our emotional space. And it just feels so comfortable and just you know, able to fully express its nature in a very benevolent and beautiful way in Taurus. And that's what it means when it's exalted. So first of all, a new moon in Taurus brings about usually a slow and steady new beginning, because Taurus is a fixed sign. It's that energy, you know, mid-season in spring. You know, it's not initiating spring. It's kind of the stable part of spring when everything really starts to blossom and everything really starts to flourish. And you see all the flowers and all the baby animals and all the bees and all the, you know, beautiful weather. It's that beautiful time of spring, and that's very consistent, and that's that energy of Taurus. And so this new beginning can be very much like that, in that it's a beautiful new beginning. It's slow, it's steady, it's feminine, it's sensual. You can think about Aphrodite as just like sitting next to a pond, just brushing her fingers through the water, you know, just enjoying the reflective nature, the intuitive nature of this new moon. So it's kind of like opening up a blank book and writing a new chapter. Having this new moon is like a chapter in the book. And this is a question we might be asking ourselves at this time, like, what is it that we want to create, you know, because Taurus is very creative and they want to have that material gain in the world. They want to have the things, the beautiful things, the things that bring them pleasure and joy, the food, the home, the hot tub, the vacation, the bank account, you know, the clothes, the high-end clothes, you know, like that's material gain. And we also have what we value beyond the material. But, you know, this energy can help us kind of write the next chapter in our books around kind of those qualities and those themes that might show up. The other good thing about this new moon is that the moon in Taurus, Taurus is ruled by Venus. And so what's happening with Venus is very important. And Venus is going to be in Pisces. It's going to be in the end degrees of Pisces. It's going to be at the 28th degree of Pisces. But it's going to be in Pisces, which means that Venus is also exalted. Venus is also in this beautiful sign of Pisces, which is spiritual, which is mystical, which is intuitive and psychic, which is compassionate and empathetic and, heart-based and just silly and dreamy and lovely, okay? And so Venus is having a good time in Pisces, and it's going to be exalted there. So it's two placements, in which the moon is exalted and Venus is exalted. And so it will be a beautiful new beginning. But there is some stuff that is ingrained in this new beginning that is deep, that is difficult, that is tense, and that is irritated, that we are working through. Now, Venus is going to be in conjunction with a lot of different things, which just means it's going to be blending its energy with the North Node in Pisces, Saturn, and Neptune. And it's going to be in a sextile to Uranus. It's going to be trining Mars. It's going to be trining Scorpio. So we've got this trine with Mars. We've got this trine with Juno. I mean, these are all supportive energies, supporting our ability to allow our hearts to lead, to assert ourselves, to follow our heart, to be creative, to express our true desires, to build a dream, to put our energy towards a dream, to allow our spiritual nature, intuition to lead our steps and our actions, and to help us build confidence, to help us move forward, to help us move through challenges. It's a very heart-based kind of trine there. That sextile to Uranus is also supportive. It gives us that opportunity to be more innovative in our relationships, to embrace change, to disrupt our patterns in our relationships, to heal. Uranus is like the higher mind. We can be tapping into some kind of higher nature, some kind of higher expression, some kind of higher creativity related to our hearts and our values and our relationships and what we want to build and grow and create with that conjunction with Saturn and Neptune and the North Node. The North Node is that direction where, like the energy is turned up. This is the direction we need to go in. It's our destiny. It's the direction that is fated, and it's the direction that's going to balance us out. And so, yeah, we've got a lot going on with that Venus placement, and that's going to be showing up in the new moon. But this is like a grand fixed cross happening during this new moon. We have the moon in Taurus, squaring Leo, squaring Pluto, and opposing Lilith. And this creates a grand cross in this new moon with Mars and Pluto and Lilith and this exalted moon. And so I've talked about all the tension. I've talked about all the anger and the frustration. I want you to think of this metaphor because this is the channeled message that wanted to come through at this time. And it's actually really beautiful. But I want you to think of a flower that is very tight in a bud. And it has been in that bud for a while. It's a late bloomer, it's a late bloomer kind of bud. There's other flowers around, that bud that have opened and blossomed. And that bud, of a flower, it feels sad. It feels sad because it's behind and it's stuck and it's scared to open and it's scared to blossom. And it's comparing itself to all the other flowers around it and saying, well, that's a yellow flower and that's an orange flower and that's a pink flower and that's a red flower. and that opened, and that opened, and that blossomed, and that blossomed. And why hasn't this opened? Why hasn't this blossomed? And it's sad, and it's grieving, and it's quietly kind of isolated and alone and worried about how long it's taking to see results. And so this might represent a part of you that has been working hard on something, a part of you that has been showing up for something, a part of you that has been hoping for something, creating something, putting a lot of intention to something, a part of you that's been growing, a part of you that's been transforming, and maybe you haven't seen results yet. Maybe you feel stuck. Maybe you feel helpless. Maybe you feel sad, and maybe grief is coming up to the surface because it's almost like you have to either give up or like bust through something that is deeply stuck within you. And that's where this tension comes in. That's when there's like this storm that starts to brew in the sky, and it's irritable, and it's like the thunder that's growling in the clouds. You know, the thunder is growling, you see the lightning, and it's grumpy and it's irritable, and it starts to rain, and it starts to hail, and it starts to get really, heavy outside. And then all of a sudden that storm passes. It's a short storm. It's like lasts for a day or two, lasts for a few days, and it passes. And despite the tension, despite the storm, despite how unsafe it has felt, despite the violence that has taken place out around that bud, it finally has its moment. And it's not because it wanted to open, because it's been wanting to open for a long time. It's not because someone told it to open, okay? Because people have been telling that bud to open for a long time. They've been waiting for it to open. It's because it's time for it to open. It's because it's natural time to open. It is divine timing. And that bud starts to blossom. It starts to open finally and fully blossom. And it's tender. It's tender because it's tense outside. The trees have been blown over. There's twigs on the ground. There's flowers that have been, kind of hurt through the wind, and everything's recovering, and it's just tense. And at the same time, there's this soft feminine energy that's just expanding and opening and releasing. And so this grand cross represents something inside of us that got really tight and stuck. Talk about Lilith and Scorpio. Lilith is going to bring the rage, the rage to liberate. She will go into, she's very similar to Pluto. In some ways, she can be kind of similar to Saturn in some ways, in that she can go into our energy and very deep. In this case, in Scorpio, I'm just going to give you a heads up. Anytime you have like Lilith or Pluto in Scorpio, that is some psychological purging. And that's what I think people are going to be feeling it in their heads. Okay. It's that Lilith energy that's getting activated, where it's going to bring up that rage inside of us, that part of us that has been so buried, so repressed, so held back, so delayed, so stunted, so violated, so abused, so hurt, so unfair. And that is the energy that's going to get locked up in this grand cross with Pluto. Pluto is going to be also bringing up that frustration and that intensity within us deep inside, to purge it, to let it go, to allow us to evolve, to allow us to transcend, to go from these primal, scared, helpless parts of us and transcend it and become higher, to morph into the eagle that can fly above this, that can transcend. And that square with Mars is that ability for us to show up, to bust through these energetic blockages, these emotional blockages, these creative blockages, these blockages in our confidence, these blockages in our minds, these blockages in our psychology, these blockages in the way we embody what we want to embody. These blockages are going to bust open, and our feminine energy is going to expand, and we are going to blossom in that feminine energy. And that's the beauty of this intensity that happens during this time. It allows us to open. It allows us to bust through something really stuck and keep moving forward in our lives and open up more. Open up despite how unsafe the world feels, despite the violence, despite the tension, despite the conflict, despite the division, despite all the drama that's happening out there. Feminine energy is still opening and it's still expanding despite that. Despite that. It's beautiful. And so that's what's happening around this new moon. It's incredible. Jupiter is going to be squaring the North Node and the South Node. That is big growth right there. That's big growth. It can be challenging, but it's making us confront what we need to let go of so that we can move forward. Okay. And the North Node being in Pisces, remember, that is a very non-linear journey. That's like, those little things in museums where you put the marble, down a tube and it goes into a cup and it knocks over the cup and it, does a domino effect and goes into another tube that goes in a swirl and then it hits this thing and it flies over here and then it, it's like this big maze of possibilities for this little marble to go through. And that's exactly what the North Node in Pisces is like. It's like, whatever direction we're going in, expect some non-linear, nonsensical detours, where you're like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I just feel like I need to do this. And like, I don't know why I'm talking to this person, but I just feel like I need to talk to this person. I don't know why I'm taking this opportunity, but I'm taking this opportunity. This has nothing to do with what I actually want, but I'm doing it anyways because why not? Because somehow it takes you to where you need to be. And that is kind of what it feels like to follow that maze, that nonlinear maze with the North Node in Pisces. So overall, there's an intensity to this new moon. It's like walking up a staircase, and it's like, having to walk up the stairs, things level out a bit, or having to walk up some more stairs, things level out a bit. So it's kind of like walking uphill, but we're just taking like a group of steps at a time. It's slow, it's steady, but we're still moving through it, and we're moving through some stuck energy. We're moving towards a goal. We're moving towards a threshold of some kind, a new beginning of some kind, and we have to leave behind what is holding us back. We have to let it go. We have to let it die. And for most of us, that's going to be, some energetic stuff that's happening within us, some energetic stuff. And when we, on an individual basis, let that go, let that purge, what happens is it creates a massive ripple effect on a massive level. When we're all letting go of that energy, it creates a massive transformation on a global scale. And we will start to see that ripple effect play out with not just releasing patterns related to power and control and authority and suppression, but also the expansion of feminine energy that's happening around this new moon. So it's beautiful. I did pull some cards. I pulled the 5 of emotions here. That's the same as the 5 of cups. And this can be a very emotional card in that it can bring up helplessness, sometimes that victim mentality, where we're kind of crying over things that just don't go our way. It can be very tender. We can be feeling sad for ourselves. Something emotional can be happening. It can feel cold. We could feel alone and isolated in this energy, but there's still hope in this card. You see her, even though she's crying, she has the moon in her heart. She's touching this ice and it's melting. And so this is a card that says no matter what's happening on an emotional level for us, we have Lilith and We've got these Pisces placements going on in this new moon. We also have Lilith and Scorpio and Juno and Scorpio. There could be something emotional coming up here. And, this card is telling us to still keep our hearts open. Venus and Pisces, the moon exalted in Taurus. Keep opening despite what's bothering us emotionally. Keep opening, stay open, shine, keep shining. Keep shining your light. Keep showing up. Keep opening. Keep letting that little light within you still regenerate. Because it can be knocked down over and over again. It can be slammed to the floor. It could be fought. It could be crippled. But that Scorpio energy, it's so regenerative. Lilith, Juno, and Scorpio, it's so regenerative. It doesn't matter what you've been through. Even if you're freaking traumatized at this point, we all are, you can regenerate. You can still shine. You can let that little light that still exists inside of you grow bigger. The other card I pulled from the archetype deck is the unseen. This can represent where we've been unseen. Maybe this is something that is blocking us. Maybe it's blocking you from really shining your gifts and talents into the world. Maybe it's blocking you from following your calling. Maybe it's blocking you from showing up in a relationship the way you need to show up. Maybe it's blocking you from building security, financial security. But this card can also be a card of the unseen, as in the spiritual world, something that's unseen to our physical eyes. Guidance, spiritual guidance, things that come to us through dreams, things that come to us through messages from the spirit world, from our intuition, from our psychic abilities. And so this energy will be strong during the new moon. So if you have dreams, you have interactions with spirit guides, you have intuition or psychic abilities, this might be something that's coming in at this time to guide you, to take action in a certain direction, to help you. We also have the card of the warrior that came out. And so you want to be wise with this warrior energy, because when it's misused, it can turn into lost causes and battles that are damaging, that hurt you in the process. But when you use that sword wisely, it can help you align with your purpose. It can help you align with a mission, and it can help you come into your strength that you need to manifest what you want. And then we also have another card that came out. That was courage. Okay, this is about moving through your fears. Your fears are naturally going to be there. The fears that the same old stuff is going to keep happening to you. Maybe bad stuff has happened to you. This is a card that says, have a courage. There's also like a bird or an eagle on top of his head. Again, that reminds me of that Scorpio transformative kind of Pluto energy, where, we might have these primal parts of us that are just freaking terrified, but we also have the ability to purge and transform and evolve and transcend and become that golden eagle that has a higher purpose, that expresses higher spiritual gifts, that can see things from a higher level. That's something that's coming in around this new moon. Have courage, move through your fears. And the last card that came out was the radish dragon that says growth. And this is an energy that I think is reflecting that Jupiter squaring the north and the south node. This is a card that says that there can be very fast and accelerated growth that happens at this time. So this new moon packs a punch, even though Taurus can be kind of that slow moving, gradual, steady energy. We've got a square with Mars. We've got a square with Pluto. We got a T-square with Mars and Pluto. We got an opposition. We got a grand cross with Lilith, and Pluto, and Mars, okay? It's, even though we've got this beautiful feminine opening that's happening during this new moon, we also have action. We also have growth. We also have major expansion happening at this time. And so keep that in mind. I wish you the best of luck during this last part of April. I actually recommend doing some energy work around this, working with Lilith consciously, working with Pluto or Hades consciously, these archetypes, you know, these energetic archetypes that live within us are your inner warrior. Like, I recommend, you know, leaning into the shadow work if it comes up. I recommend, you know, working with your anger. I recommend managing your energy, really regulating yourself. If you need to do energy work around this, you know where to find me. You can find more information in the description box below. And I do recommend that maybe this is a time where you create some more space in your schedule to enjoy life and kind of get a break from the things that are causing tension in your life, because there will likely be some tension, whether it's happening externally in the world or within you or in your personal life. This is a good time to carve as much space as you can before the new moon, around the new moon, so that you can work through this alchemy that's happening. All right. Take care, everyone. Again, if you enjoyed this video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. That will notify you when I post new videos. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye.